Has it sunk in? I mean, that's probably...
You're better than that.
Yeah. Has it sunk in?
It's starting to. And I just think it's the most asked question over the last 48 hours. And I think the best way for me to answer it is, it comes in levels. The first is kind of surreal. It's almost a dream. I don't know if it's the fatigue or the emotional fatigue or all of that. And I think that lasts, through that first night, and you wake up the next morning, and it's now you start to realize, this is real, and this is not a dream. And then it's still euphoria. You come back to Oxford and unexpecting, maybe you're expecting maybe a couple hundred people to, meet the bus, and there's literally thousands in the Grove that you just left 20,000 plus in Omaha. But I think now, after a couple days, you start to understand and appreciate it more. But I think it's something that'll take, weeks.
This is something that it's for you and it's for your team, right? You guys are the ones on the field doing it. But did you realize how big the reaction would be, the ownership that fans take in something like this? I mean, you talked about the environment in Omaha and then what you guys come home to. I mean, as I've seen people the last few days, they're like, I don't really know how to react. And it's like everybody's just happy and just walking around with a smile on their face.
No, I knew, I guess, when we got to Omaha, I knew, Rebel Nation would show up. And certainly they did that first weekend and throughout the week. But then when you got to the championship series, I mean, it was just another level. And then, as I mentioned, getting back here, but just seeing and watching, and I'm not, as you know, I'm not a huge social media guy. I don't follow many people, but just the reactions and things that I've seen, that's really neat. It's obviously you don't think of that as a coach or as players. I mean, we know the fans are a huge part of what we do, and it's super cool to do what we do. But I don't know if I quite imagine this reaction. And so I'm happy. I'm happy for the Ole Miss family. I'm happy that they can celebrate and enjoy this with us. That's neat, to watch young and old, happy and excited and cry and do crazy things. And the Ole Miss family deserves it.
In some ways, I think it's great. You win a national championship, and now you're headed to be the manager of Team USA, the collegiate national team. In some ways, it's got to be like, if we could do this another year, that'd be good, because I'd love to just kind of chill out for a second. Is that kind of both directions for you?
Yeah, I think exactly. I've never been more busy, over the last 48 hours, because you're trying to do what you're supposed to do as the head coach of Ole Miss, and I will. And I'm blessed to have an awesome staff that's helped me along the way and trying to do a little recruiting, doing a lot of different things, from answering texts and emails to doing interviews and everything else that you're supposed to do and want to do and want to but you're cramming it into 36 hours to 48 hours. So yeah, there's a little part that, man, why couldn't this been another year? But then, as we get through with the parade tonight, and me and Jacob and Hunter Mason, we'll jump on a plane to Cary, North Carolina. How cool is that? We just won a national championship, and now we're going to get to put the USA uniform on. So I've kind of turned that way. That it's always been an honor to accept this commitment, and I'm excited to get there.
Couple of baseball questions as it relates to Team USA. I was looking at the invite list for training camp, and I think there are 50 players on it. Maybe there were a couple that defected off of that. But you got to cut that roster down to 26. Mm-hmm. Will that be the most challenging baseball thing you've ever had to do?
Yeah, probably. And that's probably the part I'm not looking forward to. I can't wait to see the guys and meet the guys. They got in yesterday, and they had their first practice last night. I spoke to every coach, individually last night about, 10 o'clock at night. And Dan McDonald is kind of, the adjunct manager, if you will, while I'm over here. And but yeah, we're going to play 5 basically stars and stripes, games. So against each other with two different teams, and then pick a team from that point. And they're the best 50 amateurs our country has to offer. And so I think it's going to be cool to be around all those kids. But there's no doubt that we're going to end up not taking some guys to the Netherlands that are going to be Major League All-Stars, and that's just part of it.
I can't help but look at the makeup of your staff and think this is going to be special for you when you've got Dan McDonnell going to be involved, and he's been around it before, and Cliff Godwin's going to be coaching third base, and Zan Barksdale's on your staff who played for you and has worked with Dan, and then, oh, by the way, your son Drew's going to be involved as well.
Yeah, Drew wants to be a coach, and so thought it was a great opportunity that we need somebody in the bullpen to catch the bullpens and to help run that part of it. And Brett Basham did it back in 2013 when I was the pitching coach then, and so thought it was a great opportunity, one, for him to learn and be around those great coaches and be able to understand what this is all about. And again, what a cool opportunity to put the USA jersey on.
When you think about your players from this Ole Miss team, switching from USA back to Ole Miss, I know you're so proud of all of them, but Tim Elko's story, I know it's been told 1,000 different times, but when you look at his journey from not winning a starting job as a true freshman behind Tyler Keenan to sticking with it and growing and going through the injury and ultimately being able to walk off that field in Omaha a champion, how do you put it into words?
It's hard. I always get uncomfortable when people talk about, hey, your legacy. I think that's for somebody else to determine. It's not for that person to determine their legacy, right? But it's a lot easier to talk about somebody else's legacy. And, I don't know if there'll be a bigger legacy in this baseball program ever, than Tim Elko. For all the things that you mentioned, all the things that we know, and, what a cool kid and what a great representative he's been of this university, this state. You're talking about a guy that doesn't even live here. He's from Tampa, Florida. It's awesome. And not only has he been the face of our program for the last few years, which we've known and loved, he's become the face of college baseball. I can't remember a time when there wasn't a more liked, more known, more popular college baseball player than Tim Elko. And that's pretty cool.
You mentioned college baseball as a whole. The ratings from the postseason on television were up this year. The massive fan base that was there for all the games. I'm not talking about Ole Miss fans. I'm talking about all the games in Omaha. Do you feel it growing?
Yeah, I think people love college baseball, and when you get to Omaha and you see that many people, and it's been noted, right? I've only been there once or twice in 22 years. It's been noted a lot, but I think back to Rosenblatt. Remember Charles Schwab Field? That stadium was built in 2011, so not too long ago it was at Rosenblatt. It's not a distant memory. I mean, it's maybe 12 years ago, 13 years ago. That stadium didn't hold the amount of people that it holds now, and just the electricity when you walk around Omaha and the people that have gone this year. I mean, it is so cool. It is so cool to walk downtown and Old Market, and for all the schools. I know our people really appreciated it. Rebel Nation, but all the schools. It's just that pageantry that you don't see a lot, and it's again another neat experience that I think a lot of people got to experience this year.
You brought it up, not me, so I'll ask the question: is it nice that you never have to answer those difficult questions anymore about number of trips to Omaha or success in the postseason or whatever? That's all now in the rearview mirror, and none of it matters.
I never thought it was that difficult of a question. It's a fact. It's hard. It's hard to get to Omaha. I hope people realize that. And it's great to get there, and I'm super excited that we went there and had a lot of success there. But for me personally, when you watch a team like Tennessee not get there this year, last year you watch Arkansas not get there. Two ranked number one, the best teams in the country. For the entire season, don't get there. A lot of times good teams don't get there because you got to be, the best team that weekend, and it's hard in our sport. People don't get that, but it's hard. It's hard sometimes, in baseball. You get outplayed a little bit and you lose. That's why in Major League Baseball there's 7 games to decide the World Championship. There's 162 games during a year. The game's just different, and it's played different. And the best team doesn't always win. It's the team that plays the best. And when you get to the final 16 in a super regional, all those teams are really good. It just comes down to a few pitches and a few plays, and the team that makes them. The team that gets a few, breaks or some good fortune, if you will, they win and move on. And it's not that they don't deserve it. And it's not that the other team is undeserving. They just didn't play well enough. So I've never really felt that was a tough question. I just